Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the NBA DraftKings slate on Wednesday, August 19th. We got a nice day of 4 NBA games, game twos. We'll get into all the players that we want to play today, all the sneaky spots I think we can get into today. But before we get into all that stuff, if you're new here, make sure to like this video, make sure to leave a comment on the channel, subscribe to the channel, turn on notification bell. All those things really help me grow. We've had a lot of growth through NASCAR season, NBA season so far, and we got NFL coming up and college football and college basketball coming up, so be sure to stick around for those as well. I'm really excited for all those sports to come up, so yeah, be sure to stay tuned for all of that as well. If you want to get more of my content, you can subscribe to my Patreon. For only $10 a month, you're going to get a cheat sheet with projections for DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports, Super Draft, and Fantasy Draft, along with a daily article, a salary tier rankings, injury notes, and a cash score 4. So be sure to stay tuned or go subscribe for all that. I'll put the link in the description below. If you want to follow me on social media, my Twitter is at DFSNateLane, my Instagram is at NateLane_. I'll also put those in the link below as well. Or in the description below. I'll put the links to that in the description below. So yeah, be sure to check out all that stuff. I'm really excited the way we've been growing so far, and I just want to continue to grow. I'll be having stuff for Patreon on NFL and all the college sports as well, and I do have it for NASCAR as well. It's basically the same thing, so for $10 a month for all 3 series. So be sure to check all that out as well. But I think that's really all I got to say, and let's get into the players I'm interested in today. We'll start off the Boston Celtics. They're playing Philadelphia in Game 2. I like Jason Tatum again. He was 8,500 last game, but his price got raised to 9,000. But I'm okay going back to him again, and it's for a few reasons. One, he played 41 minutes last game, and the Celtics, if they want to, honestly, they're probably going to win this series anyway. But if they really want to go far, Jason Tatum's got to play a ton of minutes. He's the best player on that team by far at this point. He's the highest usage player on this team. And now there's no Gordon Hayward either. Gordon Hayward sprained his ankle. He's out for at least a month. So with Gordon Hayward off the floor, we see Jason Tatum's usage rate go from a 28.5 to a 31.8, and his assist rate go from a 14.3 to a 15.3. Not like huge notable jumps, but they are jumps. And now Jason Tatum, who was already the highest usage player on the team, is now a 31% usage player. And I just want to continue to attack that. And with no Ben Simmons out there, they put Matisse Thybulle on him last time, but as good as Matisse Thybulle is and probably will be, he's not going to lock up Jason Tatum right now. So I do absolutely love going back to Jason Tatum here at $9,000, especially when there's like a guy priced right above him, and we'll talk about later, that's just like, I would just much rather play Tatum than anyway. Now we got Kemba Walker, whose price actually dropped 100 after the last game. He didn't have a great game, but he did play, I think it was like 32, 33 minutes. He's still 6,800, but he is going to play more minutes today without Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward does have some ball handling duties, and Kemba's just going to be out there more. And I just really don't see Boston, because Boston's bench really isn't that deep. I really just don't see them going farther in and just playing Romeo Lane for a ton of minutes or something like that. I just think they give more minutes to their starters and then a little bit more to some guys on the bench. So Kemba Walker, I've expected to play 38 minutes right now, and if he's going to play 38 minutes with a guy who also is going to get a usage bump from 27.5 to 29 and assist rate bump from 24.4 to 26.9, I want to attack that. You have a guy right now who is a point guard who's going to have the ball in his hands a ton, who's going to play 38 minutes, who's going to have a high usage rate and a usage bump, and a depleted backcourt without Ben Simmons on a defensive side for only 6,800. I want to get that all day. Yeah, he didn't have a great game last time, but I still think he could. It's still Kemba Walker. We know, or all you know, how good Kemba Walker is at basketball. So I want to continue to go back there. He's not a 6,800 player. He's like an upper 7K, maybe even an 8K player at his best. So up next, we'll go to the Brooklyn Nets, and Joe Harris got a price jump about $300 from 4,700 to 5,000. I want to continue to go to Joe Harris. He didn't have an absolutely fantastic game last time, but he did play well. He did play solid. He didn't hurt you. He helped you, actually. He had a good game. But Joe Harris, with Kyrie and Dinwiddie off the floor, has a usage rate of 25.4 and an assist rate of 19.4. And for only $5,000 for that, I just want to continue to attack that. I think Joe Harris is in an absolutely great spot here today. Love his price, but I like Levert more still. 8,200 still too cheap in my opinion. For a guy that's going to have a 38.8 usage rate and a 32.6 assist percentage for only 8,200, that's higher than Tatum, and who's 800 more. And not taking anything against Tatum, but for a guy that just has the ball in his hands that much, that's going to do so much, that's being asked to do so much, it's going to play in the upper 30s for minutes. Yeah, Caris LeVert is someone I want to get. It's a tough matchup, but sometimes volume is just more important. And in this case, volume is more important, in my opinion, that Caris LeVert is going to have the shots. He's going to have the ball. So I want to attack Caris LeVert again here against Toronto for only $8,200. Up next, we'll get into my Dallas Mavericks that I'm interested in, and we have Steph Curry for only $3,600. I'm sure Steph's going to be chalk today. You have a player for $3,600 who played 33 minutes last game, and in all honesty, the Dallas Mavericks need to play Steph Curry about 30 minutes a game, and I expect that to happen going forward. Just because, like, he spreads the floor so well. I mean, he's statistically the best three-point, percentage-wise, the best three-point shooter of all time. So Steph Curry is someone that I just want to continue to attack here. I mean, he needs to be out there on the floor. He is so valuable to that team, spreading the floor, getting the threes off that Luka Doncic draws so much attention from. So, yeah, he's going to be out there. He's a lower point per minute guy, 0.826, but he's also the type of guy, if he gets top in the three-point line, he's going to put up like a 40-point game. So, yeah, I do like Steph Curry. And then, of course, Luka Doncic. Again, I'm just never going to tell you not to play Luka. I'm going to put him in pretty much every video at this point. He's $11,000. He's going to be out there a ton of minutes, 1.65 point per minute guy. I mean, there's just nothing I can really say against Luka. You know who Luka is. You know what he does. So, I mean, nothing really. I don't really have to get into that one too much. Maxi Kleber at 3,600 is someone I am also interested in today for value. He played 34 minutes last game. I did take some of those minutes away because we had Porzingis get ejected. But I didn't really take too many away because Kleber was playing anyway with Porzingis out there. And he was, at the end of the game, he was playing really, really good defense down the stretch. And I just think they're going to reward him with that. And they liked the way that lineup ran. And I was, questioning it when it came out. But it worked really, really well yesterday. And I just don't see why it just go away from something that worked. So, I think Kleber is a very solid option again. For Porzingis minutes, I took more of them away from Boban than I did from Kleber because I don't think they want to play Boban that much. So, I think that's where I took most of Porzingis minutes from, gave him to. So, I think Kleber's still a good play. Kristaps Porzingis at 8,900. His price went up a little bit, which kind of concerns me, but I think I'm okay with it. It is a good matchup against the Clippers. They struggle against bigs, but it's also another thing for Kleber. He is a big. So, against bigs, Porzingis, that's a good matchup for him. But, I mean, his price did go up. I mean, we saw he's having a pretty good game. He's a good play still, in my opinion, but I think there's other guys I'd rather get to. I think I'd rather just pay 100 more for Jason Tatum, in all honesty. But, yeah, Porzingis is still a really solid option. I don't think he'll get too much ownership today, so he might be a solid pivot off of some of the chalkier plays today. But Porzingis is definitely someone I am still interested in. He does have a good matchup, and if they try to take away Luka, Porzingis is going to have the floor opened up for him. Up next, we have Jeremy Grant for the Denver Nuggets. And Jeremy Grant continues to be too cheap, in my opinion. $4,600 for someone who's, without overtime, would have played 35 minutes last game. I just want to continue to go to that. I mean, he's out there. He's out there for defense. We saw him guarding Donovan Mitchell late in the game. It was just, torching them. So I think Jeremy Grant looks like a pretty solid option at 4,600. He doesn't start, but he's getting more minutes than Millsap every single game at this point. He is a more lower production player, but at this point in the season, we need value wherever we can find it, and I think Jeremy Grant does offer that, and he does offer some upside. He could get you a 30 to 40-point game, and I would not be that surprised by it. So I think Jeremy Grant is a solid option here. Nikola Jokic, price went up $1,000, which is what I said in my article last week. I might have said it on here too, but he was 8,700 last game, which was just stupid. Now he's 9,700, and that might keep the ownership down, but I think Nikola Jokic is actually fine. I mean, he's such a high usage guy. I mean, if you want to go look at it, he's a 26.8% usage percent player, and a 35.6 assist rate player. He's just doing so much for his team. And I mean, he's got a tough matchup with an elite center and Rudy Gobert, but Rudy Gobert is an elite defender down in the paint. He's not Nikola Jokic is a mobile center who can take you off the dribble, and that's where Rudy Gobert, I don't want to say struggles, but he's not as good at. And we saw Jokic have a really good game the other day again against Rudy Gobert, who still had a great game as well. But I mean, Jokic just was everywhere, and I just expect that kind of stuff to continue from Nikola Jokic. And I just don't really see any reason why there's no reason to play him. I don't think he's going to be as highly owned today, so I think that might be a better one to go to, especially if we're seeing Kawhi and if we're seeing Kawhi and Luka picking up a ton of ownership. I think Nikola Jokic could be a solid pivot off of both of them, honestly. Paul Millsap at 4,300. He's just a solid play every time he's out there. He's almost 1 point per minute per player, or 1 point per minute play. He gets a nice assist rate bomb without Will Barton on the floor. It's only 4,300. He'll play about 29 minutes, so he's just a nice value to have. Always a good cash play is Paul Millsap, in my opinion, but never someone I want to go to really as much in tournaments, but a good cash play for sure. Jamal Murray. Man, Jamal Murray had himself a game the other day. And I think a lot of people are going to be scared off of the price raise. He went from 6,500 to 7,200, but I'm really not too worried about it. I think I still really like Jamal Murray as a play today. He played 35 minutes without overtime, which I like. The minutes restriction's gone. He's going to be out there a ton now. Jamal Murray, the other thing I really love about Jamal Murray is the matchup one is good. Like the Jazz are not really that great against point guards. They haven't been all year. But the thing that's even more better for me about Jamal Murray is the fact that Mike Conley and Bojan Bogdanovic are still out. But Conley's, I guess, the more important one. Like, Jamal Murray's going to get guarded a lot by Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson. And those guys are not good defenders. Like, as much as everyone wants to love on Donovan Mitchell, and yeah, he's a really good player, he's not a good defender at all. And if we're going to get those kind of matches with Jamal Murray, I just want to continue to attack that. That's why Jamal Murray went off the other day, because he didn't have a tough matchup at all. Like, yeah, it's Utah, and it's, a tough matchup, but it really wasn't that hard of a matchup for Jamal Murray, especially without Conley on the floor. So I want to continue to attack that. And we all know Jamal Murray is also a player who just shows up when the lights are big, when the lights are bright. We saw him show out in the playoffs last year, and now we're back. And in the big moments, Jamal Murray does seem to always produce better than just a normal game, which is why I think he's, not an all-star and stuff, because in the regular season, normal games, he just doesn't do anything. But in the big games, he shows up. So yeah, I think Jamal Murray is another solid option today. I don't think he'll be as highly owned. I really don't. I think like a few years ago in DFS, we would have seen Jamal Murray get a ton of ownership and Donovan Mitchell today get a ton of ownership because they just went off the other day. But now I think people are sharper. They understand more about salaries and stuff. So I don't think either of them are going to get too much ownership. But for Jamal Murray's case, I do want to continue to go to him. Paul George, 8,600. Yeah, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. My two favorite pay-up options. I guess you could say pay-up options today. I mean, they're just too cheap. They're too cheap. They play Dallas, who's not a good defense at all, and they're just simply too cheap. They're both going to be out there 35 plus minutes, 35 to 40 minutes if the game's close. That's what they did last game. Why would that change? They're both Paul George should be in the 9K range, and Kawhi is going to be in the 11K range by the end of this playoffs. So we need to buy these guys low right now when this is a really good matchup for them against Dallas, not a good defense. And two, before they're not as expensive. Like, next series is probably going to be against Denver or Utah, which is a way slower pace, a way tougher matchup for both of them. And they're going to be more expensive, which they're still going to be fine plays. I'm going to still tell you to play them in that series. But right now, when they're too cheap, I want to go after both. Lou Williams is another one at 5,300. He'll probably be about 7K by the end of the playoffs because he just gets so many minutes and he's so productive with them. 1.1 point per minute producer. We all know Lou Will just goes out there and chucks shots up. He's only 5,300. He's just another guy that he shouldn't be that cheap. He should be 6,000 like he was last game. He had not a great game, but he still was out there a ton. The usage was still there. He just missed a bunch of shots, which is what Lou Will does sometimes, and you have to live and die by that. That sometimes Lou Will is just not going to be good. But the days that he is good, you need him in lineups. So Lou Williams, someone I definitely want to attack again at 5,300. Go right back to him. I think he's too cheap. I think he's a good producer, and I think he's a high usage. And he is a high usage player, 28.3 usage percentage. Next, we got the 76ers. Alec Burks at 4,600. Price rose from 3,900. He was someone I said would be a good pivot off of Jordan Clarkson the other day. And both him and Clarkson were good, so that worked out. But now both of them, honestly, we'll get to Clarkson in a minute, got priced up. But Alec Burks at 4,600. I'm still okay going back to. Alec Burks is become a pretty high usage player on Philly, a 23% usage player. He comes off the bench when he finishes the games. They trust him more than Shake Milton. Alec Burks has taken over the Jordan Clarkson role on this Philadelphia, or not Jordan Clarkson, Jordan Clarkson too, but Jordan Clarkson / Lou Williams role on the 76ers team. So Alec Burks is definitely someone I want to continue to get to, and just something I want to attack on his slate. Joel Embiid at $9,900. Has seen a price decrease over the last two games, and he just hasn't been playing good. I mean, Joel Embiid he kind of just looks, it looks overwhelmed. It almost seems like I don't know. I sometimes feel like he just doesn't believe he can actually win this series, and he needs to be the best player on the floor. He is the best player on the floor, in all honesty. Him and Tatum are the two best players on the floor in the series, and Joel Embiid needs to dominate. He's got Daniel Tice going up against him. It's not a matchup that he should have any problems with, but Joel Embiid just hasn't looked good. But I'm still going to go there. With Ben Simmons off the floor, Joel Embiid has a super high usage rate. It goes from a 32.9 to a 35.7, and his assist rate goes from a 17.6 to a 23. So it's totally someone that I want to just continue to get to. I just love the rates for him. I think the salary is a little too cheap. I think the matchup's solid. So yeah, Joel Embiid's someone I want to continue to get to. I think he's a good play. I don't think he'll get a ton of ownership today, and he could be another good pivot off of like Kawhi and Luka. Matisse Thybulle at 3,400 is too cheap. I don't know if he's too cheap. He's just a cheap option that we need value on today's slate, and I think he's a solid value play. He's a very low producer. I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's a great producer. 0.65 point per minute is not good. But at 3,400, he played 33 minutes last game, and I expect that to continue. I don't know if he'll get 33 again, but he's going to get in the upper 20s because they need someone to guard Jason Tatum. Like, that was what he was doing. That was his sole role out there, was guarding Jason Tatum. And if he can just get a few steals, few blocks, and knock down a few shots, he's going to be able to pay off that salary pretty easily. But, yeah, I mean, he's out there. I mean, Jason Tatum, they need someone to guard him. Like, they started Al Horford at the 4, and that's just a brutal matchup. It's just terrible. Like, you cannot put Al Horford out there on Jason Tatum. So you need to do something, and Matisse Thybulle was the answer. And he closed the game guarding Jason Tatum, and I expect that to continue. Because, like, they can't throw out there Tobias Harris, not a good defender, Shake Milton, really not a good defender. And then Horford and Embiid just aren't mobile enough. They're not just not the type of players they defend against. So they need to put someone out there, and they put out Matisse Thybulle. Next we'll go into the Toronto Raptors, and they play Brooklyn. And again, I just want to continue to say that I think all of the Raptors are good plays, but these are the top 3, and they stand out a good bit in my opinion. Kyle Lowry 8,000. They suck against point guards. Pascal Siakam is just too cheap. Pascal Siakam is not a $7,500 player. He's having that explosion game coming, and he was doing really, really well. But then the Raptors started blowing out the Nets, and they sat Siakam for a while, but the Nets came back. And he just lost some minutes in there, and I think he ended up playing, he only got 31, but I'm probably going to bump up his projection 36 minutes today. And if he gets that, he's going to be an absolute smash, in my opinion. I just don't see any reason to avoid him. He's too cheap. And then Fred VanVleet, playoff Freddie's back. He's just elite in the playoffs. We saw it last year. We're going to continue to see it this year, I guess. 39 minutes in the last game. He had 60 DraftKings points. I don't expect that again, but he had a really good game. It's a really good matchup, and 7,600. It feels like a right price. I don't want to say he's not overpriced, he's not underpriced. He's just good priced, and he has the ceiling, so I don't hate going to him. He probably won't be as highly owned today. And then I'm going to go down to my Jazz. So I'm not interested in Donovan Mitchell, but that's the last guy I'm going to talk about today. Jordan Clarkson, I am interested, though. 4,700, I want to go back to him. Yeah, he played 34 minutes last game. He's not 3,800 again, but 4,700 is still something for Jordan Clarkson I want to go to. He's going to play a ton of minutes without Conley on the floor, and they need players to create shots without Conley as well. Like, Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson are the only players on the team who can actually create a shot for themselves. Consistently. So yeah, I know they need Clarkson shooting out there, so I'm just going to continue to go to Jordan Clarkson. Donovan Mitchell at 9,200 is ridiculous. He just went off the other game. 81 DraftKings points, 57 real life points. Great game for Donovan Mitchell, and they lost, which was wild. But DraftKings priced him at 9,200. I knew he was going to get a price jump, but 9,200, that is wild. That is just insane. And if he's going to pick up ownership today, which I just can't see why anyone would go up there and see Jason Tatum less than him, Nikola Jokic 500 more than him, Embiid 700 more than him, and just say, yeah, I'm going to play Donovan Mitchell today. Or Porzingis 300 less. Or Paul George, 600 less than Donovan Mitchell. I just cannot see anyone saying, I'm going to play Donovan Mitchell here. It's just so hard to just really like him at this spot. Yeah, he could go off again. He could just shoot the lights out again. And I wouldn't be that surprised, but it's just not someone I want to get to. Now, if his ownership is really low, he does have the upside clearly. And he'll be a pay-up to be contrarian option, but I just don't, I think there's better pay-up to be contrarian options than Donovan Mitchell. So, I think that's really all I got to say on today's slate. Hope you guys really enjoyed this video, got some good information. If you want to get some more of my content, you should subscribe to the Patreon. You should follow me on social media. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, turn on notification bell, leave a comment. But yeah, that's really all I got to say today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have a great day watching basketball and make some money.